Hello guys, today we'll be continuing on with chapter 4, percent, ratio, and rate, and we'll be doing section 4.3, solving percent problems. So we'll be getting into a bit of word problems now using percents. Copy down your section title, and when you're ready we'll move on to our first example. Okay, so our first example, and I want you to write all these examples down today. We're going to do this one together, and you can write it down as we go. So, example number 1. 70% of a number is 63. Find the number. Okay, so we're trying to find this number here. We're trying to find a number that 70% of that number is going to give us 63. Okay, so I just rewrote this out. I'm going to go back to what we talked about earlier this year about keywords and what keywords mean in math. So we talked about the word of being multiplication. And from your studies in elementary and in grade 7, you might have learned that the word is the same as equals. So I'm going to take this sentence here, and I'm going to write it out using these keywords and our mathematical operations. So 70% of a number is 63. So first off, I'm just going to, for the sake of simplicity, I'm just going to let n equal the number we are looking for. So instead of writing out a number every single time, I'm just going to write out n. Okay, so copy down these two lines. Alright, so now I'm going to write this out as math. So 70% is the same as 0.70. We always remember we can't work with percents in math. We usually change them to decimals when we work with them. So, and we've done this in section 4.2. So 70% is 0.7. Okay, so 70% of a number, of being times, and a number being what we called n, is, or equals, 63. So we've written this out using math. It means the same thing, just written a little bit differently, and we're more used to seeing something like this. This is the basic form of algebra. So 0.70 times n equals 63. Now we are looking for the number n. So we need to get n by itself. We need to get n equals something, and that will be our answer. So how can we change this to get n by itself? Well, we can take this 0.70 and move it over to the other side. But how do we move it over to the other side? Well, right now we're multiplying 0.70 by n. So whenever you move something over to the other side, you do the opposite operation. So what's the opposite of multiplication? The opposite of multiplication is divide. Alright? So 0.70 times n equals 63. We want to get n by itself. So to do that, we're going to bring the 0.7 over and divide it. So we brought it over. We could have wrote it using this symbol, but I like to write my division as this, as a fraction, which is perfectly fine. They mean the same thing, it's just a different way to write it. So n equals 63 divided by 0.70. Well, this is easy. This can be plugged in on a calculator, and it gives us what we're looking for, n. So I'm going to pop up my calculator here. Okay, and I'm going to go 63 divided by 0.7 equals 90. So n equals 90. So 70% of 90 equals 63. So we should go 0.70 times 90, which is what we found our n to be, equals 63. Is that right? Let's see. 0.7 of our 90, or times 90, equals 63. It is indeed right. Okay, so that's our first example. A little bit complicated the way we set it up here with our algebra, but once you get a few more examples in, you'll see how easy it is and how it always follows the same pattern. Okay, make sure you have this written down. When you're ready, we'll move on. Okay, another example. 23% of a number is 27.6. Find the number. Okay, so this one's a little bit harder. We got a decimal here, that's all, and our percent is 23. Alright, so I'm going to write it out. First, 23% of a number is 27.6. I'm going to say let n equals the number we are looking for. Write this down as we go, by the way. Alright, so now I'm going to take this sentence and I'm going to write it out using math. So our first step, 23% is changed to a decimal. So it's 0.23. Of is times. A number is now represented by n. And is equal to. So 0.23 times n equals 27.6. Okay, how do we solve this? We would like to get n by itself. So in order to get n by itself, we have to move 0.23 over to the other side. And when we move it over, we have to do the opposite operation. So this 0.23 right now is timesing by our n. So to move it over, we have to divide by it. So n equals 27.6 divided by 0.23. Remember, this is a divided by symbol. That's only easy if we got n by itself, which is what we want. So if we can simplify this using a calculator, we'll have our answer. So we have 27.6 divided by 0.23 equals 120. N equals 120. Okay, if you have any questions, please let me know or ask another student around you if they can help you out. If not, we're ready to move on to an example where you're going to try it on your own. Okay, last example like this, and I want you to try it. This one's a little bit complicated because we have a percent greater than 100. So remember, try to think about what you do there when you have a percent greater than 100. How do you change that to a decimal? So just think about that for a second first. And when you're ready, try it. When you press play, we'll pause while you try it. When you press play, we'll come back and talk about the answer. Okay, by now you should have this one attempted. Quickly go through it. So 175% of a number is 105. I just wrote it out. I'm going to change this to a decimal. So 175 becomes 1.75. Of becomes times. A number, we said that we were going to call it n. There's our variable n. And is equal to, and there's 105. 1.75 times n equals 105. We want n by itself. So we have to move 1.75 over to the other side and do the opposite operation. Right now, it is doing a times to my n. So I'm going to move it over and use division. So 105 divided by 1.75. Plug that in on our calculator. 105 divided by 1.75 equals 60. N equals 60. Alright, so hopefully you got that answer correct. If not, please go through it and see where you made a mistake. If you're really struggling, please let me know. And just a little note, you will be doing practice work later on page 252. So these previous examples, the three we just done, will be like number 4 and 7. So that's a hint for your practice work. So instead of kind of getting confused in the different methods, if you make this note here in your notes, you'll know where to come back and look for help if you get stuck in your practice work. Okay, when you're ready, we'll move on. We got 2 more examples. So write the increase as a percent. So this one's a little bit different. So this time we're saying the price of a carton of milk increased from $2 to $3. So we have a number that is increasing up, and we want to see what that increases as a percent. Okay, and I made a little mistake here. I don't want you to try this one on your own. I want you to write this one down as we go. Oops. There we go. So first off, to start this off, you look at the first step. How much did it increase? The milk went from $2 to $3. So the increase was $1, and I found that just through subtraction, or you can do it in your head. The price went up $2 to $3, that's a $1 increase. So now, this increase is how much percent of the original. And that's what we're looking for. This increase that we found, what percent of our original price was it? So again, let's look at this and write it as math. So we have this increase, or $1, so I brought it down here, is how much percent of the original cost. And I ran out of colors. Come back to black. The original cost, and the original cost was $2. So that's how I set this up. That's how I knew to set it up like this. So we asked ourselves, this increase is how much percent of the original? That's what the question asks. The question often gives you clues how to set it up mathematically. So we just do this now using our algebra. So we want to get n by itself. So we have to bring the 2 over to the other side. This 2 is being multiplied by, so when we bring it over it becomes division. So we divide 1 by 2. And 1 divided by 2 is 0.5, and you can do it on your calculator if you really want to check. Alright, so n is 0.5, but we want percent. That's why I've highlighted it here, percent. This is a decimal. So we just change that to a percent. So we change 0.50 to a percent by multiplying by 100, or moving our decimal 2 places to the right. So there was a 50% increase on milk. Okay, if you had any trouble with that, please let me know. When we're ready, we'll try this one. Now I want you to try. This is going to be a decrease. So just pause the video, think about it. If you get stuck, I'm going to go through this one with you after. Okay, so write the decrease as a percent. So milk went on sale. It was $4, now it is $3. So how much did it decrease by? It decreased by $1, and you can see there, or you can do a subtraction here. Then we're going to say this decrease is how much percent of the original cost. So this decrease of $1 is how much percent, what we're looking for, of the original cost. The original cost being $4. Alright, we got to move over our 4 to the other side. It's being multiplied by, so we need to divide it by on the other side. So 1 divided by 4 equals our n. 1 divided by 4 is 0.25. That's our n, but we want it as a percent. So we have to move our decimal 2 places to the right and add our percent sign. So milk went down, or was it the price decreased by 25%. Okay, and another hint here. These previous examples, the last 2, will be like number 5, 6, 8A, and 9B in your practice work on page 252 to 253. Okay, so speaking of that, you can make note of that if you want a few hints with your practice work, so you don't have to be flicking through your notes too much. Okay, with that being said, here's your practice work. Number 10, we never done an example exactly like number 10, but I want you to give it a try and see if you can figure it out. If you have any trouble, please let me know. But page 252 to 253, copy this down, and good luck with your work.